Hello friends! Welcome to Squaird Plans, where creative planning and organization comes to life. I'm Stephanie, and today we're going to be doing the May flip through of my catch-all Frankenplanner here. So I'll be going through all of the major spreads that I did for 4 out of the 5 planners that I keep in here, and also too I'll be showcasing a little bit of my planner setup, maybe discuss some things I'm thinking about changing, getting some feedback from you guys, what you guys think, and then also answering any of your questions. So if that sounds good, let's jump in. And first off, I want to say if you do have questions, go ahead and drop those in the chat if you have the ability to do so. That's why we do this live format. It really helps me to engage with you guys and answer your questions right away instead of you having to track them down or wait for me to answer your comments. And I just like this format because I can also, answer your questions after follow-ups and everything like that. So hopefully that helps you guys too. And then if there's anything that you're curious about as far as planning, how to do your planner in a similar fashion, or maybe something that you think I can be helpful with, do drop those in the chat as well. This is the time to do it, and hopefully I can help you guys out in any way possible. So I see a few of you guys coming in now. Thanks for joining me. Lots of different locations so far. Let's see, Kimiko. This is a cover I actually just made in my spring planner refresh. It is not a Jane's Agenda cover, but it does have those same vibes, I agree. And I was kind of inspired by her cover selection, but I made this completely on my own, and I also gave it away as a freebie. If you are into DIY, that is an option. So if you want, go ahead and drop me a comment after the video is over, and I can actually forward you the direct link to that video if you're interested. And yeah, so hi, I see some from, let's see, Texas and Missouri, Houston, Indiana, Iowa. Hi, you guys. Thank you guys for all joining in on me. I can't even talk. Thanks for joining me today. I'm really happy you guys had the time. I know this is a busy time of year for a lot of people with kids getting out of school and vacations and things like that. So thank you guys again for joining me this Sunday. Okay, so we have a few more people coming in. We've got Connecticut, Colorado, Mississippi. Awesome. Okay, let's go ahead and jump in. What I do want to know from you guys, just kind of brief poll, is do you guys want to go through the full planner setup again, or do we want to just jump into the meat and potatoes of the after the pen spreads? So let me know real quick if you can in the chat. I'd really love to know your take. So either full or just spreads. Let's do it easy peasy. So full or spreads. I'll talk a little bit about my overall setup while you guys are doing that. Okay, so first off, I have this Frankenplanner, which is a massive chunky planner that I use for all of the different planners that I use to plan my life. I have to keep one planner system going. I can't do multiple planners and pull each one in and out. It just doesn't work for me. I've tried a couple of times and it just isn't a good system for me. So having it all together is the way I like to roll. And in here I have a faith planner. I have what I call my daily, which is really like my everyday planner, my catch-all, if you will. Some people call that the catch-all planner. I have my health planner. I also have my hourly schedule, which is something I added this year, which is kind of new, very functional. And then I also have my budgeting planner, which I just did a video on that really goes into the full thing of my budget system without actually showing you my actual numbers, because I'm still keeping that part of the planning system private. I'm like thinking faster than I can talk. So if you want to know what I'm doing with my budget planner, and like it's a very in-depth video, I just posted that up, I want to say last week, so you should be able to find it pretty easily on my channel. But that's the only one we won't be covering today in this June flip through, or May flip through. It's May, right? We're in June, but this is the May planner spreads. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and check in the chat. See, a lot of people are going for the full. Okay, all right, sounds good. All the good stuff. Do you? Okay, I'll do me. All right, I'll go over it briefly. If there's anything that I touch upon but you don't really get what you want out of the the description. Just again, put it in the chat and I'll try to keep checking and making sure I'm answering all your questions as we go. So like I just mentioned before in the very beginning, this cover is something I DIY'd in my spring release, or not my spring release, my refresh. And so it does have some Jane's Agenda vibes. I need to slow down. I'm like rolling over myself. Jane's Agenda vibes. And then, yeah, so I made this vellum laminate cover and just a dashboard backer. And this is a freebie photo. So all of the information on these I gave away in the video if you want to recreate this. But yeah, so I really love to DIY stuff in my planner, as you'll see as we go through, and this one I really enjoyed being in. I will probably do another refresh pretty soon here for summer, but this one was really a nice one and just gave me some like sophisticated spring vibes, which I really loved. Okay, so we've got that. Let's go ahead and center things up. And so for the next part of this, I have my sticky dash, which I did another DIY on this. This sticky dash is a pocket folder, so it has both a clear pocket here and a pocket here as well. So something I hadn't seen anybody else do, at least in the ring bound or disc bound community. So I thought I would give it a try, and it's been working out really well. I don't have anything in it right now, but sometimes I stick some stickers in there, and then I'm playing around with keeping something in the back here that I can actually use as like a checkoff maybe. We'll see. I might make something separate for it, but I like the idea of kind of being able to replace what goes inside of it with a checkoff system. So that may be coming soon as well. So that's my sticky dash, and then I have a pin loop, which I also DIY'd and have a video on from I think late 2022, back in my Plan Miss time. So yeah, so I did DIY this out of some leather, and it is removable, so I can move it around if I need to. But I like to have it here, just kind of in the front, because I have another one in the back, so they don't kind of bump up against each other. Okay, so then we get into the inbox system, and so I have 6 different categories here on the side. These categories here are the major parts of my planner. We're going to spend a majority of the time here in my schedules section, but I have an inbox, goals, productivity, schedules, and then reference at the back, as well as notes for note paper in the back. So that is my side tab layout or organization, and I'll briefly go through each of these sections. At the top, this is where I do all of my like day-to-day planning. So every morning I use these top tabs. I don't touch these other tabs. This is more of when I need it, and this is basically like everyday maintenance, if that makes sense. And I'll talk a little bit about those once we get to that scheduling section as well. Okay, so we have my inbox. So I just have a nice clear divider with a dashboard I made at the beginning of the year, still working well. And then I've been using the getting things done method of inbox for the last year or two maybe, and it's been working out really well. The way I've been using it though, because I kind of have a very repetitive style of planning, so I know what I need to do each day, and I just migrate those between the weeks for the main tasks. So it's something that, you know, if I have an idea or a thought or a task that comes in mind and I need a place to write it down, but I don't have to do anything with it necessarily right away, but I don't want to forget about it, that's how I've been using this inbox system, and it's been perfect. It just allows you to kind of like keep a running list of things to get to, organize it into different categories, and then tackle it within those categories as you need to. So that's what I've been doing, and like I said, this has been a really good system. This is in my shop. I have an Etsy shop, if you weren't aware, and I sell printables for pretty much everything you're going to see in here that isn't DIY'd, and I think I have one happy planner in here. So everything else will probably be from my shop, but if you're not sure, go ahead and drop that in the chat and I'll be happy to clarify. So yeah, so I have my inbox system. I only use certain pages out of there. I don't need the full display of pages, but there is a lot of options in case you need to customize it to your needs, and I can also do custom pages if need be for your needs in particular. If something is nice but not quite right for you, just reach out to me on Etsy and I can do customizations as well. Okay, so next we have my goals section. And this has another dashboard. And I did a full setup series on this. I basically created these inserts just using some grid paper and stickers and my own ingenuity. And this is what we did. So I have that cover page, a vision board. I have my Q1, which I've gone through all of the setup of this, as well as my review that you're going to see here for Q1 and Q2, which is what we're in now. So I use this to guide me later down the road when we get into my not my monthly section, my hourly scheduling section, where I kind of incorporate my goals into my planning. I use this as well as some monthly goals I'll set up in that section, and it just kind of helps propel me throughout the year, always trying to focus in on my goals. So it's been a really good system. I really like the aesthetic this year with this kind of neutral, pretty floral, not floral, but I don't know, branchy. I like this look a lot. So I've been enjoying being in these pages. And then the next section I have is my productivity section. So this is new to my planner this year. I have in it my Kanban board, which I've been using to try to get my portfolio site done. I did make some progress in Q1, which was one of my goals, but I didn't get as far as I'd hoped. So it's still in here living just kind of in a holding position for me. I did do a setup on this and kind of explain how to use it in that setup. So again, there is a video on it if you want to know more, but it's a DIY insert that I basically created for tackling a major project goal that I had. And then next I have a cleaning schedule in here, which I just refreshed yesterday. And I use it basically on a monthly basis and then clean this out each time. I just use a Sharpie on it. It works pretty well. I think it works better than wet erase. Definitely better than dry erase. Dry erase always just kind of like came off. So wet erase would be better for on laminate, but I just go ahead and use a Sharpie because you can take it off with alcohol pretty easily, or even sometimes I can scratch it off if I really put some elbow grease into it. So if they're just little check marks, sometimes I just get lazy and scratch it off. But this is just kind of a nice way for me to kind of do those routine monthly cleaning things and keeping track of what I've done so far for the month. And then on the back, I have a spring cleaning schedule, which is a more like annual cleaning schedule. And I just refreshed this too back in like March or April and put in all of the new stuff that I've done so far for the year. So those are that. Let's see, I see a question. Where did you get the clear dividers? These are from Amazon. I should have a link below in the description of this video. They're a pretty good price. I've DIY'd my own clear dividers in the past, and they work great, but it is almost comparable to buy them ready to go at this point when you buy them on Amazon. I don't know where they're getting them from the shop, but the smaller shops were a little bit too expensive at the time when I was looking at getting some clear dividers, so I DIY'd some. But again, I always kind of like the easy route sometimes is a little bit nice. So I found these, I think they're under $15. You got these, and they also have a 4 top tab option as well. So just check the description below. I think they are in there if you want a direct link. Okay, so this is my 4th section, my schedule section, where we're going to be spending most of the time in this video. So at the beginning of my schedule section, I have my annual kind of pages for planning and scheduling. In here, this is my insert from my shop, and I printed this yearly insert on some heavier stock paper to use with the dot markers that I wanted to use, which you'll see in a minute. So this is a little bit of a different paper type. I thought I was going to use this in the beginning, but I ended up deciding not to use it. But the year at a glance pages are great for, like, you know, mapping out vacations or holidays, or just simple things that you just want to kind of see at a glance how your year is shaping up. And this is where I put a lot more of my efforts, which is into my future log scheduling. So the way that I plan, I have only about a month to 2 months at a time in this planner at once. So if I need to plan something outside of the months that I'm in, this is where this really comes in handy. I can basically write down the list of, you know, if it's a birthday, anniversary, that kind of thing to be coming up, but also if I have an appointment or if I have a, you know, some kind of event or something that I want to remember in the future, I can also write that down here too. And then I also have a little key, so I have everything color coded and to different categories, and then I just use that kind of correlation So I know that, say, like here in February was a hike with a friend, so I have that under the family and friends, and I make a dot there on the same date so I know what to reference. And I can just look at this and say, oh, okay, this week I have a couple things, or one thing, and I can check and see what those things are. So that's a good way to do it. That's basically how I did it last year because I didn't use a monthly calendar. But this year I am using a monthly calendar, so I check this on a monthly basis and transfer the things out. But if anything comes in, this is where it goes first, and then it goes into the monthly, if that makes sense. So let's see. I see another question. Thank you. Did you DIY your sections like schedule, if that makes sense? Sort of, yeah. So are you talking about these front cover things? Stacy, so if you're talking about these, yes, I DIY'd them. There was a little bit of interest on maybe putting these in my shop in the beginning, but I didn't go ahead and do it because I didn't see enough interest for me to put in the effort to add it to my shop. But yes, I DIY'd them. Okay, so back to this. So I have my future log, and like I said, I use this for all of my future planning. So that transitions to my very first planner, which is my faith planner. Okay, so for my faith planner, again, I'm using an insert from my Etsy shop, and I use kind of a combination of different things in this planner, which is you're going to see repetitively throughout the system if you're new to my setup. So the very first section in here is a standard monthly layout. And what I do for my faith planner is I theme the entire month all at the beginning of the month so I don't get that fatigue of always trying to come up with different spreads each week. It's just nice to have it all set up all at once, and then I just need to, plug into it every day and not have to worry about setting it up each week. There are 2 sections in here that I set up weekly, but for the most part, this monthly overview kind of idea has really made my life a lot easier and made me more excited to plan and not less burdensome, if you will. So I use this currently, and I've been using this, for the entire year in this same format. I do a daily reading on my Bible app, and it's a plan that's already there, kind of scheduled for me. I read through the entire Bible every year through the app, and then what I do is I have been writing down the verses that I read that day, and then just trying to take a snippet away from what I read that I can apply to my life. So I've been calling that the takeaway, and that's been working out just really well for me because I was having trouble really concentrating on what I was reading. So this has just been a really good way for me to absorb more of what I've read and kind of, put it back to myself and make it useful to my life currently. So that's how I use this, and it's, like I said, been really good. I'm not much of a journaler. I don't really do a full journaling experience. It's a bit much for me, but this is just enough for me to kind of get what I need out of it and not be too burdensome again for me. Journaling, I feel like it would be a lot more effort than I would want it to be. So this is a happy medium. Let's see, I see another question. Let's see, are the items offered as a downloadable printable or a physical item? Hi, so yeah, they are all printables at this current time. I am trying to look into maybe doing something physical in the future, but I'm not quite at that point yet. It's a complicated road out there for the physical items, and so right now they're all printables, but there's lots of ways that you can get what you need out of a printable, whether you take it to a local shop or something and have them print it for you, or, there's some options there if you're not used to doing printables on your own. I do have a lot of videos where I show the full setup process too, of like cutting and punching the holes. So if that's what really scares you is just like the process, there are some videos I can guide you to walk you through the process if you're interested. Okay, so for this month's theme, back to the Faith Planner, I decided to play with a little bit of watercolor in my layout. So I used some blue, and you'll see I used kind of like a deep red as well, and feathers, which were some different stickers I had from different books, and I was trying to make it work. And it worked out. It just was a little bit rough as far as matching colors on the red section, I would say. So this is what I call my Faith Overview spread. This is available in my shop as a standalone printable. It's something new I added to my planners this year. All of my planners this year have an overview spread like this, and I added it because, as you'll see at the back of my planner, the goals planner that I'm using had it, and I really needed that continuous flow when I flow through my planner. Because I use these tabs at the beginning of the month, or the beginning of the day, sorry, I just really flip through 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 all the way through. And if it's kind of going back and forth and not in the right order, it doesn't feel right for me. So this is my solution in order to use that happy planner that I decided to buy. And actually, it's been great. It's been a way for me to find a place for some things I didn't have a place for before, and I've been really enjoying it. So I may continue this in future years. But I'm interested to know if you guys have been interested in this kind of overview layout, and if it's something that you are thinking about adding to your planner, or if you think it's just a bit much and you don't really have a good way of integrating it into your planner system. I'd love to know your thoughts on that. So like I said, this is my Faith Overview, and it is available in my shop if you are curious. And it's just got a nice blank area here and here, and then here it has a place for a prayer list because this is a faith-based setup. It's got some habit trackers, which I use here to track my reading and prayer, and the little takeaway summary I do here, as well as the next part, which you'll see is my lettering. So I've been using that. I've also used this section, which is kind of this month currently, how you're doing spiritually, and it has some prompts that I've used in the past and I really loved. So I went ahead and added that to the sheet, so they're ready to go, and it's just a nice way to check in on how you're doing that month spiritually. So this is how the spread turned out. So the next layout that you're going to see here is my quadrant style layout. And this I have just found is the sweet spot for lettering in my planner. So I use my weekly layouts mainly to letter the verse of the day from that same Bible app. So it's just auto-fed, and I just take that verse and interpret it somehow through lettering each morning. So this was my way of kind of combining two skills I wanted to do and practice more of, and also to, again, not quite getting into the journaling aspect of things, more of a creative outlet, but also spending some time thinking on and interpreting the word. So that said, this is how the first week turned out. I keep the layout design pretty simple. I don't really do more than just the this week box for the setup before I get into the lettering. I've been doing that all year. It's just been, again, a little bit of an easier thing for me. I have done this whole thing decorated in different ways, along the spine, across the middle, on the sides. So if you're looking for more ideas for how to decorate maybe a quadrant layout, if you look at my Faith 2021 setups, those will get more into the full decorating ideas that I had for 2021 and that really use the entire layout. But this year, I'm just trying to keep it simple because I got a lot to do, I'm trying to keep busy here. So this has worked out really great for me. Let's see, so I have been using a couple of pens. So we'll go ahead and skip to the next one since they're all kind of the same. I've been using a couple of different pens for lettering. I use a Tombow Furunosuke brush tip pen. So if you're new to lettering, I did do a lettering series earlier this year, kind of explaining how I come about, different styles of lettering and how I've practiced, and just kind of describing my process in lettering and giving you guys ideas on how you can adjust your own hand lettering to, make it, improve it, but not really like improve it, like, add variety and character to your own hand lettering. But this was the first brush pen that I really felt is essential if you are new to brush lettering and want to get more into it. So the Furunosuke brush tip in a hard tip pen is really essential. There's some other markers that I've used in the past. I've used Tombow brush pens. This month, because I was kind of limited by my color scheme, I had two highlighters and fine liner dual tipped from Mon Ami that I used, which weren't ideal honestly, for the lettering, because I had a chiseled tip on one side and you can kind of see it. So I tried to make it work for me, but I did not enjoy, honestly, working with those pens all month. But I did want to keep that color scheme going, so I just grinned and bared it. But you can kind of see it wasn't quite my normal variety of lettering, or I tried things I didn't think worked out very well like this. So it wasn't my favorite. But like I said, I had those two colors, so I just alternated the colors back and forth so that it wouldn't get too colorful between the different weeks. So here is the next week's layout, and I did again some of the blue. I tried to work with the pen a little bit better. I even did a little bit of old school calligraphy. I don't know about you guys, but I learned a little bit of calligraphy when I was in school, so I was trying to remember even how to make those letter forms, and I was like, oh, this is hard. It's been so long, but I had a little bit of fun trying to remember. Yeah, so again, like I just didn't feel like I had the same kind of flexibility with that pen as I'd like, so some of these are a little bit less than exciting, but I think overall it's still a really good practice, and it did get me out of my comfort zone a little. And I think this one was the last one of the month. Yeah, so this one was good. I really like how this one turned out, actually, with just the fine liner. But yeah, overall, it's just a really fun way to try to think a little bit more about what I've read and try to, you know, get creative, and also, again, spending time in the Word. It's just been a really great practice for me. It's why I've kept it up for these last few years, and it's definitely helped improve my lettering overall. So I highly recommend it if you're thinking about ways to incorporate lettering into your own, you know, current planning style. If there's a way you can maybe add quotes to your own planner, or if you are a faith-based planner, you know, maybe trying something like this, it might be worth your while if you want to grow as a letterer in that sense. So that's the end. This last page has been kind of an open page for all of 2023. I think last month I did a gratitude. This month, as I was reading, there were a few questions that kind of came up, so I thought I'd just use this page to mark the questions I wanted to do some further study on, and that worked out okay. I did some research right away, but it's nice to have it here in case I want to get back to it and maybe do a full study. Okay. Let's go ahead and move this out. So this is my process at the end of each month. I'll take out the entire month at a time, and then I will put that into my faith planner. So the way that my system works, let me move this completely out of the way, is that I have individual planners in here, and I keep those planners, all 12 months of the inserts, there on my shelf, and then each month as I need the inserts I pull them out and put them back in when I'm done with them. So we're into May, and basically this is just a hodgepodge holding place for these inserts. I have some old dividers, I have a cover from another Happy Planner, discs from another planner. So it's not really about being in this planner per se, it's just my storage place for all things faith. So that will be put back onto the shelf. And let's see if I missed any questions. Let's see. Oh, you're into the quadrant layout. Yeah, there's a few planners out there that are doing quadrant layouts. You can also look into cloth and paper. I think they did something similar for a while. So there's been some catch-all style of planning, not faith planning, in them, if you want to know maybe some other ideas for how to use it. Yeah, I think that was it. Okay. If you guys have any other questions, please let me know in the chat. So that said, I have my June faith planner already set up and ready to go. And like I said, I just use these tabs across the top. So it goes in order of the pages that we just discussed. It goes faith month, faith overview, faith week, and then sometimes there's a fourth tab, which you'll see in some of these other ones when there's something at the very back that I want to make sure I hit every day. So that's how I do it, and then I just move right on to the next planner. I don't shuffle through pages. I just go tab, 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 and then I know I've touched everything I need to touch by doing all of those tabs in the morning, and I'm done with my planner for the day. All right, so we're going to jump ahead to the next section, which is my faith section. So, no, I'm sorry, it's not my faith section. It's my health section. So health planning is how I got into planning in the first place. So this is a planner that I probably will keep in my planner no matter what. I used to be much better at fitness and health. Before COVID, I was in the gym all the time, so it was really just a good way to track my fitness and health in that sense. Things have tapered off, but I'm still using it to get myself back on track, and it's valuable, the information that I feel like you can get from a health planner, because you really learn like why you're failing or maybe why you're succeeding, and you can just kind of keep track of your progress over time and what ebbs and flows you have in your health, which I think is just valuable information. I don't know about you, but I geek out on that sometimes, especially like things like sleep, like why was I not sleeping for, so long, or why am I oversleeping? Have I been, taxing myself, or am I not feeling good health-wise? So that kind of stuff, I just find it interesting. So I love having a health planner for those reasons, whether or not it's actually helping me succeed. Just having the information I think is valuable. So I keep this health planner. I've been doing this since 2018 actually, and it's a really good planner for me. So I use inserts again from my shop for this planner, and the very first section, of course, is another monthly. I like to have that repetition between the planners of the order of things. So this month I did something a little bit different than I did in previous months. I had been using this planner for just tracking my workouts. And because I wasn't working out very much, I've been having some health issues. It's just keeping me from working out, and then also too just motivation and not being able to get back into the gym just yet has really kept me away from my normal standards of working out. That said, what I decided to do for this is add in my fasting goal, tracking, if you will. So I set a goal in my monthly section, as you'll see, to build up to alternating day fasting for May. I tinkled with it, tried it out in April, and I was really encouraged by it, the small results I was seeing just with a little bit of progress. So I decided to try and build up to alternating day fasting. I did some research on it, and I thought it would be a really good thing for me. That said, I started out the month, and I definitely built up to a pretty long fast. I built up to basically 22 to 24 hour fast, depending on the day, and was able to maintain that fairly easily. And so what I decided to do is just use this to track, because sometimes it's really hard to keep track of the hours, because if you don't have it in an app or something, it was just hard to figure out when I started fasting and when I stopped fasting and how many hours in between. So this was a really great way for me to keep track and calculate the hours. So that's what all the little arrows are for. And then I also have my workouts still on the top if I did work out. But as you can see, the ones that are highlighted are the only days I did a workout, and there weren't many. So I really tried to focus more on the fasting this month, because I just knew I wasn't going to be that motivated to work out. And that seemed to work out pretty well as far as progress. Let's see, what kind of results I see from alternating fasting. Okay, so I've already lost almost 7 pounds, I would say, from my highest, maybe 8. And that is a huge progress for me, because I was stuck. I was either going up or I was going nowhere, because I wasn't working out at the level I was before. And so it just was, I was stagnant or going up in weight, and slowly creeping. And it didn't matter how I was eating, if I was trying to eat more clean or, stay away from sugary foods or whatever. I think I was just having more calories than I was putting out. So this has been a way for me to really just minimize that. I basically eat 1 meal a day at this point, and I've been able to maintain it. I haven't been extra hungry, and it does take a little bit to build up to it. I was already kind of fasting before, like I wouldn't eat breakfast. I would go maybe till like 1 or 2 at least before I would get into lunch every day. So this was just like an extension of that. But also now it's like I don't eat into the night anymore either. I stop eating pretty much mid-afternoon, late afternoon, and that's it. So I've seen a lot of progress with that, and that's really without exercise, I would say. I do exercise a little bit, and I get a little bump when I exercise, but again, it's just been a way for me to actually lose weight, see some progress without putting any extra effort into the exercise section of my health and fitness, which has been lagging. So I do recommend it, but I think, yeah, you definitely should try to build into it. That's kind of how I did it. And I was, like I said, fasting somewhat before, where I wouldn't eat until like 1 or 2. So I just extending that into a longer fast and cutting it short for how long I eat in the night. Okay, so that's a lot about the fasting. I can get into that more too. If you want some more information, I'd be happy to share with that. Maybe offline, or maybe after this is over, you can shoot me a text, or a chat. Anyway, so that's what I use this for. I really found it useful. I did that again for June, just being able to track the hours. It's so much easier just to see it. And I basically just kind of, I did it like a split day, and it just worked out great. Anyway, I really liked it. I can go into more of that too if you need more information, but yeah. So the next section we have here, the next spread, is my health overview. And this section, again, is something that I offer in my shop as a standalone, so you can add it to any of your planners. It has some habit trackers, maybe some boxes here for some health goals. This is just kind of like an open area. So what I used this for was just tracking what kind of dinners I was eating for the month. I like to find something and stick with it because I don't like to think too hard about meal prep. So that's what I was doing with that. And then on this side, I have a setup for you guys to track your starting weight for the month and body fat percentage. And then it has a list of measurements, body measurements. So that's what's under these little black Post-its that we will like to keep safe. And then I have this section here where I have my, my monthly stats. So I'm, like I said, very data driven with my health these days. I have an app in my phone that just kind of breaks it all down really easily, so I can get all of these numbers with, really easy access and not have to search for them like you would in the standard app. Everything comes from my Apple Watch, and so everything comes from my Apple Watch, and then the phone tracks it. I have an iPhone, and then I use an app called Health View, which really just condenses down the information and makes it very easy and digestible. So again, I can get all this information as well as my daily stats, as you'll see in the next section. So I track that. As you can see, my overall movement was really pretty low last month. And again, it's because I was focusing more on the fasting and just kind of letting that other stress go. And it still worked out. I also have these questions that I put in here. This is just something I started doing as a way to kind of fill the space, but also it's a good overview kind of to see where I'm at health-wise. Just has some basic questions about how I was successful, what I didn't go well, what I can change basically, how I feel, and then what I'm going to focus on in the next month. So just a quick check-in with my health, and that's been working out great. One more thing before I move on. I did set this all up, these monthly pages, with the same theme, so you can kind of see this kind of vegetable theme I went ahead and set up in the beginning. And the very back page, which we'll get to, the habit tracker, is also set up with the similar theme. So the monthly pages are all set up at once, and I don't do that one on camera because that's just kind of a stick things down and move on. But I do like to have it all ready to go so I don't have to think about it as well. Let's see. Hi, I didn't know that this was still live. I'll have to go back and see what I missed. Oh, hello. Hi, Diane. I'm glad you could join us. I'm glad that you were able to check in. Okay, so next we have my weekly schedule here, and I do set these ones up each week. I usually will have a plan with me on either this one or the daily, sometimes both each week, just depending on what time frame we are in the month. But this one was a fun one. I can't remember if there was a plan with me on it or not, though, honestly. I used some cardstock and some stickers from my stash. I've been trying to use my stash lately, going into some of the older sticker books that I have from the Happy Planner and some stickers I have like partial sheets of, and just trying to use stuff up. And it's been really good. It feels good to use the things, you know. So I see a question real quick. Yes, these are in my shop. So this one here that you're looking at, this layout, well, everything that you see here is in my shop. This layout is in my shop without the hydration tracker. This layout in particular is called the lined top box layout, because there's a top box here you'll see at the top on another spread. There's also a lined vertical. I know that Happy Planner calls this a lined vertical, so I'll often refer to it as a lined vertical, but in my shop there is one that goes all the way to the top lined, and that one is technically the lined vertical one. Like I said, this is not included on this layout in particular, but I have a couple of health layouts that do have the hydration tracker if you are, if that's the deal breaker, or you can always reach out to me on Etsy and I can do a customization for you as well. Just let me know and I'll send you a quote. Okay, so like I said, I really liked how it turned out. It was fun to use the older stickers, and I'll describe a little bit more about what I'm doing here on the next one. So this one was a fun one. Let me just check and make sure I'm not missing any plannable challenges real quick. I do write them down. So I do host a plannable challenge, and yeah, no, neither of these were. But again, I will mark it like I normally do so I can remember to check. So this one was just another one I came up with using some older stickers. I like to track the following things on this spread. I like to have my workout if I did one. As you can see, sometimes I do actually work out, sometimes. I used to do 2. You guys used to do 2 workouts every day. Like 2 back-to-back classes, weights, cardio. I miss that girl. Anyway, back to this. I also have my food log, which has been really tiny lately because of the fasting, which is nice. So I don't need as much room to write in everything I'm eating. And that's what I usually put here. And then below, I keep track of my daily stats. So basically, it's just what I've tracked on my Apple Watch, and that I put down below. And again, I like to geek out on the data and try to figure out what's going on with me. And then, of course, I have that hydration tracker where I track how many glasses of water. I kind of use these as 10-ounce droplets, so I can check off and see how many I did, because I have a 20-ounce bottle, and that's been the way I've been using that. This section here, I usually will put a couple of things to think about for the week, just some goals or some ideas to focus on. And the rest is just fun decor, something to keep me interested. And this is how it turned out, which I really love this color scheme a lot, and the cactus and everything. I thought it was a good one. So next we have my birthday week. Boo-boo! So this one was really fun. I loved the rainbow colors. Bright colors in this planner really, get me going, get me excited. I did get sick though, so that was kind of a bummer right before my birthday, but I was getting pretty much back to normal by the time my birthday rolled around. But yeah, again, pulling out some of the older stickers and some fun washi, but again, the rainbow, that's always the fun. I like a fun rainbow spread. And then this one was just kind of an out of the blue layout, which I had the idea in my mind and I wanted to finally try it out. We did do a plannable challenge theme of garden party for this week, and I thought this would be the perfect time to try it out. So I love how it turned out. A lot of people were really excited when they saw this, so I was happy to share it and just, inspire you guys to do something a little bit fun and different with your planners as well. I used the kind of center boxes here for my workouts, again, tracking my food here and my stats. So basically all the same things, and was able to track everything really nicely just in this really lovely decor. And I used some PET tape. I think I did a video. Yeah, I did a video on this. So if you really want to know the ins and outs of how it came together, you can check the video. But PET tape is my new favorite thing. Trying not to buy all the things, again, trying to use my stash, but definitely be adding PET tape to my collection as I go, because I really like it. And finally, we have my meds and supplements section, which is this here. This is basically a repurposed habit tracker from my shop. So the habit tracker in my shop just says habit tracker and then habits, I think, right here. That's the only difference. I just went ahead and customized it with meds and supplements for myself because I use it for meds and supplements. And then I also, mark in here the different things that I'm taking. So I've been using the top here for actual medications. Then I have some supplements that I've been taking. And then below is something new I've been adding this year, which is like a symptom tracker. I was tracking my symptoms on my monthly, and now I'm tracking it here, and it's just a lot more compact and easy to, just kind of see how the month has gone this way. So I'm really liking this kind of monthly overview of that part of my health tracking. So that's it for the month of May. Let's see. Let's grab that out and we will put it into my health planner, which is here. And so again, health planner, it has the same kind of setup. It has just a cover and disc from one planner. It's got some DIY'd dividers and is just basically a storage space for my inserts. I also keep all of my old weight and measurements trackers and different DIY inserts I made for like step tracking, things like that in the back. So I have that back here under this health tab, and that's been just a nice place because I always know where to find those things if I want to go back a couple of years and see how I was doing with my weight and measurements and things like that. I have that in here. Okay, so that is the second planner. We'll go ahead and jump now to the next planner, which is my daily planner. Oh, I have one more thing here, which is a perpetual calendar that I've been using to track my weight and also my steps again. So that's in here, and I'm not going to share that, but it's just a simple perpetual calendar, which is available in my shop, and I just write down my weight every day there on that calendar as a way to track it. Okay, so next we're into my third planner, my daily planner. And again, this is a printable from my shop. This month I had decided to try to print on that heavier stock paper that I used in the front here for my future log. It is a, I want to say Niha, but I think it's Nina, Nina paper. And it's close to 180 GSM, I think it's 179. So the normal paper that I use for most of my inserts is a HP Premium 32 paper, which is around 120 to 130 GSM. And it works pretty well with mixed media, but it's not perfect. As you could see early on in my faith planner, the watercolor does wrinkle the paper a bit more, and sometimes if you're heavy-handed, they'll be ghosting in the back of the planner pages. So I wanted to try more mixed media this year and grab this paper that I could print on, put my printable directly onto it, but also have that thickness of paper. That thickness of paper to try out. And so I decided to finally do that for May. The paper is a little bit more yellow than the HP 32, which is something I wasn't really a fan of, to be honest, and it doesn't write as well. There's a texture to the paper that is different than the real smoothness of the HP paper. So those are two things I really didn't love. But for mixed media, it is great. There was no bleed through and held up really well, as you'll see. Okay, so the very first spread, again, that same repetition, I have my daily month spread. I call this my daily. Again, this is like my catch-all planner. And so this year I decided to try to use my daily month as it's usually intended, which is more for scheduling things, birthdays, events, appointments. I don't have a ton going on in my life, so what I've started doing is adding in things like, important things that happened or something that was a little out of my norm to kind of help fill up the dates and make it useful for memory planning as well. So I have that. I've got these lovely spring bucket list inserts here that I made also as a DIY and I did a video on. I'm ready to do my summer one. I'll probably be doing that in the next week or two. I did do some of the things on here. Some I just didn't get to as much as I had thought I would, but it is always nice to have it here in this part of my planner to just kind of remind myself to do something fun and don't get bogged down with just work, work, work all the time, to live life a little bit. So I really do enjoy that part of the whole spring seasonal bucket list type idea. And so I try to put that in my planner each season just to get myself out of my normal zone of being. So these are great, and then I can just move it in and out. So if I need to move it to the next month, I can. And if it's ready to be retired, then I'll just leave it in, which I think this one is on retirement. We've got some areas here in my sidebar that I use for tracking the TV that I was watching this month and books, and I just kind of like having that there just to see how I've been progressing, and trying to remember what I watched sometimes is hard, so it's good to have a little list. And for this, I did a birthday theme spread since it's my birthday month, and used a little bit of watercolor on these pages with some older cupcakes from, I think, Happy Illustrations. I do have a setup video on this if you want to see more about how I did it and how it all came together. So here is my overview, my daily overview page. In my shop, this is called the month overview. It's a little bit more of a stripped down version than what you see here. It doesn't say social up here, it's just a month, a blank month here with 6 weeks, and then some sections here of lined area for whatever you want. So none of this chart type stuff is in here. It's got a nice long checklist, some grid up here, and then these habit trackers again. So a pretty easy way to customize it to meet your needs. If you're not into social, you don't have to use it for social. You can use it for whatever you might want to track on a monthly basis in a little bit of a more condensed format. And then, you know, long checklists, things like that. Lots of potential, if you will, for using this in different ways. So for this, like I said, I've got this like kind of monthly running checklist of things I want to get to sometime in the month. So it's been a really good place to have that. Almost, you know, I had the inbox, the getting things done inbox in the beginning, which is for even longer term things. But if there's things I know I want to get done within the month time frame, that's where I put them here instead of on the weekly if I don't know exactly what weeks I'm going to tackle them. So that's been good. Again, I have some habits that I like to track here. Going outside is not obviously not something I'm strong at lately. I've just been working from home, so it's really, I have to push myself to get outside more. I have some skincare, audio or regular book reading time. I like to track when I'm actually reading, and then trying to keep up with my physical therapy for my frozen shoulders has been a challenge as well, but I'm putting in a little effort. So that said, that's what this page is focused on. This one is just tracking my Instagram and YouTube followers and subscribers, and just kind of doing an overview of how each month went and tracking some of those admin tasks that I do every week. Okay, so this one was definitely a plannable challenge. So for my daily, I use a horizontal planner, which is in my shop. And for this one, I believe this was Fresh and Clean. Let's double check. Yes, Fresh and Clean. I had a little bit of fun with this. I did a bucket. No, that's really weird. Was this underneath it? I don't remember this washi tape overlapping. Anyway, I have this bucket that I made out of some cardstock. I used some circle stickers, which I thought I was going to actually use to write things in, but I've decided just to leave them as is and write around them just so that the decor would stay a little bit cleaner. Made my own little quote, said Fresh and Clean here, and then added some kind of cleaning icon stickers here on the side with some washi tape. I also did a little bit of watercolor with the bubbles. I don't know how much you guys can really see. It's pretty bright. It's a little bit too bright for you guys. I can bring down the ISO a little bit if it's too bright. Let me know in the chat if you feel like it's a little bit washed out, and I'll make an adjustment. But anyway, so yeah, it's very fun, and I had a lot of fun with the different types of things I was using here with the bubbles and the washi tape and what have you. I also was very functional with this, which I'll describe how I use this one on the next one. So for this, I believe this was also one, oh yeah, this was Monochrome Mood was the theme for the Plannable Challenge. So I went with these blues and pulled out a book I had recently got but not really used much, which was this, I don't know how to pronounce it. It's like cyanotype, maybe? It's like cyan, or cyanotype. But it really doesn't look like cyan to me. It looks more like blues. But there's a full Happy Planner book that's just all blue. So I thought I would pull that out and try to get some use out of it. Again, mixed media. I pulled out some stamps, which was really fun. I also did some watercolor, which I really loved the effect, and just mix and match all these different blues together, and it was a really good one to be in. So I always have a space for a checklist, as you can see, on each day. So the functionality of this planner is my primary focus when I'm designing a planner spread. I always think about what I need each day and try to keep it functional. So again, checklist, I usually have some kind of focus area on each day. I usually will say focus boxes, but sometimes it's not a box, sometimes it's just a little area. And then the decor. This week, I actually put in a this week checklist as well, so this is not on every spread, but sometimes I like to add it in if I have a lot of little things I know I'm going to need to tackle. And this, of course, is the this week spread as well. So that is how I'm using this layout, and I've been using horizontal for many, many years. It's the only way I can really think to plan like this. I can't really do vertical in the same way, so I really enjoy being in a horizontal. That said, let's pull this down a little bit. I also have my next spread, which is my birthday spread as well for my birthday week. And on this one, I made the stickers, so I used some Canva images and printed them on some sticker paper, as well as added more watercolor just because I could. I know this watercolor looks really yellow on screen, but it actually, when in person, looks a lot closer to this color. So it's just kind of weird. I took a lot of pictures of this, for Instagram and stuff, and it always looked really bright, but it's not as bright as it looks in person. So I think the match is better than you'd think, but I really liked having the little pop of added color in some of these areas. It was fun to play with. And again, I had used pretty much all of the stickers that I had in my stash that were birthday oriented, so it was just a nice way to kind of get something that I wanted in a specific theme by using Canva. I'll probably do a video on that as well, showing you guys how to make your own kind of collection of stickers that you can print at home using Canva for free. So that video should be coming pretty soon. I've had some interest in that, and so be on the lookout for that. And then we have this spread, which I don't remember if I actually did a plan with me on. I think I just did this on my own because I had some other videos planned for the week. But this one, I, again, went through my stash, pulling out those older stickers. These were some of those like fun florals, I think, stickers from way back in Happy Planner early floral sticker books. And I just never used them because of the gold. Gold makes it really hard to see at certain angles. So when you pop the planner up or down, you can maybe see a little bit more of what you see at an angle as as you're in your planner when it's on a tabletop. Straight down, it's not quite as apparent, but the light definitely catches it as I look at it from an angle. So I kind of steer away from gold or other metallics as well because of that. But I just had these lovely flowers. I thought, well, if we're just going to do it, let's do it, and let's pull out some gold. So I popped in some gold boxes, some gold quotes, and then I also tried to bring some more color in with these boxes as well. And I think it really turned out nice. I also did a little bit of calligraphy ink on this one with some gold calligraphy ink, just to add a little bit of splatter, a little bit of texture, and I really enjoyed that. Otherwise, we've got basically all the same elements, focus box, checklist, and then a little bit of decor on each day. And then finally we've got my back page, which again is themed out in that same birthday theme. The monthly pages all kind of match. And on this one, I've been using it for a memory a day. So this used to live on my monthly spread in the years past because I was trying to use my monthly as a monthly schedule more like. I moved it to this back page. I'm not in love with this. So this is something I'm definitely thinking about changing for the next half of the year going forward. I really like having a little snippet of what happened to me each day, and it's just not enough room. It just feels too cluttered and condensed in this smaller format. So I may be making a change there going forward in July. But this is how I'm using it now. I just write in a little memory from each day, and then I started adding in the highlights too from the month so I could just quickly at a glance see what this month was about without getting into the minutia. And that's basically it. So let's go ahead and move this over to the planner it lives in. And this one's a lot thicker because of that heavier stock paper. I'm going to move this out separately so it doesn't get caught up. And then again, I have my daily planner, which lives on the shelf. My big planner there is very happy that it's getting a little extra room. Let's see, we're into May. Another hodgepodge storage planner of dividers and happy planner covers and discs. Oh, let me put that in too. Let's see. Oh, you guys are so sweet with your comments in the chat. Thank you guys for tuning in today with me on this Sunday. I love this format where we can kind of just have conversations about planning in a way. So it's just fun and a little bit different than the norm. So I like that. And I'm glad I can do this once a month with you guys and answer questions and have feedback right away. Okay, so we're getting down to the last major planner here. So let's go ahead and jump ahead to the final planner of the schedule section we'll talk about, which is my hourly planner. This planner is a happy planner that I got. It's an 18-month planner called Achieved Greatness, and in it has a hourly schedule and a section for goals, which is basically what I was discussing when I said that I kind of influence the rest of the planners for the year, as you'll see in a minute how it's laid out. So this is a store-bought planner, has the monthly layout as normal for happy planners, and I've been using this layout very functionally. Actually, pretty much all of these pages are pretty functional except for the next spread, because I just bandwidth. I really just need some things to be simple. And so this is where I decided to cut corners and just keep it really simple. So this is just where I've been tracking all of my social media posts, like Instagram posts and videos that I plan to post. And if there's any changes or things I need to keep track of, I'll color code those in red or something that's different than the norm. But just keeping it kind of simple like this has been really good. And everything is erasable. I use friction pens, so I don't think I've mentioned that. I use Pilot friction pens, which are erasable pens. They're not the smoothest writing instrument. I will be honest. I know that there's a lot of gel pens that are much better as far as writing feel, but the ability to erase has been just life-changing for me because I make tons of mistakes all the time, and I don't like to cross things out and wipe things out constantly. It just becomes messy. So erasing has made it possible for me to use pens in my planner, and friction pens in particular are the ones that I usually gravitate towards. So this is a friction written in friction pen. I have a 4-color version of that in the back. So I have red, green, blue, and black all at hand, as well as this marker is also a friction marker that can be erased. It is this gray friction marker that I got from, I want to say, Stationery Pal. And I had an eraser there that I could see needed to be filled in. So yeah, so this is my way that I track my social media. And then we get to why I actually bought this planner, which is for the goals setup section. I knew I wanted to incorporate my goals more this year into my day-to-day to make sure that tasks were getting tackled and not forgotten about for months at a time. So that's why I bought this planner, and I've had to make some adjustments to the layout because it wasn't quite right for me as is. This comes in a 2-goal tracking format, and I made it into 4 different goals just because that works better for what I needed. And then on this side, it just says things to follow up on. I've been using it for weekly tracking, so like tasks that I want to do related to my monthly goals, I put them here, so each week I know I'm scheduling in those goal tasks. And then I also will move that to the next couple of spreads in the weekly. So that's the way I've been using this, and it's been really good. I have developed one that I showcased back in April on my own. That's a very similar format, but a little bit more generic, so you could customize it to your own. I haven't put that in my shop yet or anything. It still needs some tweaking, but I think I'm going to be using my own in 2024, so I will have something available at some point in my shop for goal setting in a similar manner. I do like this format, so if it's something that you don't want to buy this full planner, or the planner you don't need, you just need this spread, there should be something available in my shop before the end of the year. I'm thinking maybe mid-fall. That said, I'm making this one work for the time being so that I can really, get use out of the planner. I don't want it to go to waste, and because I think I've been able to find a good way to modify it to make it meet my needs. I've also been designing it, as you can see, with lots of color, and that's really helped bring me, into this planner more, into this section, and really helped me focus in on it a bit. So I have that, and I do setup videos on these, so there's quite a few if you just kind of want to see how I've set up this month, or the June month I just did a couple of days ago, so you can see how that turned out. So for this very first weekly, it comes with an hourly planner with a bit of a top box section, and then like this little daily habit section from the Happy Planner. This first week, I didn't quite commit to what I was going to do to the top boxes. I had tried a different layout, like I said, in April, so when I came back to this, I was a little bit unsure how I wanted to use it. So I just stuck with the basics here. I do my scheduling here, and I color code. Anything that's in blue is usually related to either a goal task or like something that is work related but not my standard daily work, something new or something else I have to focus in on. The green I'm using for break times, showers, down times, things like that. And then red is anything active, so if I need to go out of the house, run errands, working out, things like that, that's where I'll track that. I didn't do a very good job here. I think this one should have probably been red as well, but I didn't do that on that one. I also have been using this gray area just for priorities, mainly for my goals on the top one, and then health goal-wise on the bottom. And then as you'll see in the weeks to come, I'll show you what I've been doing with the top boxes. Also too, here on this side, I have just a little checklist to track my video production process. I used to have that on my social media planner, but since I've kind of downgraded my social media planner just to the monthly, I needed a place to track those elements. So I started adding a little checklist, and this has been working out pretty good. So you'll see that throughout the month. And as you can see, it's a very functional spread for me. There's no stickers, there's no decor on these pages. What I do end up doing each week is pre-planning the week. So I can give you guys an example. So before the week begins, what I like to do is set it up with these stickies to kind of pre-plan what I think I want to do, time block out my week. And as the week progresses, I can move things around because things never go according to plan. There's always some kind of change. Either I'm getting sick or something comes up or freelance pops into my lap and I have to make some adjustments. So I've been using this. I did do a video on this planner hack on how to set these up and how to make those useful for you in a functional way. But this is how the week begins. And then as I go through the week, I pen in how the day actually goes, so I can really know how much time I'm spending on my morning routine. I used to think it really only took me like 2 hours, but it's definitely creeping into 3 with, lots of social scrolling and things like that. So that has been really valuable information to me to kind of go back and figure out where my time is really being spent. And then at the top here, I've been adding in just a checklist of tasks, very similar to what I'm having on my horizontal. So that goes back to where I'm thinking honestly about getting rid of the horizontal planner in some regards. I don't know if I want to get rid of it completely, but I may abandon it. I don't know if I'm going to abandon it in the second half of the year, but maybe for 2024. So I'd love you guys' input. If I still have some horizontal diehards out there that would really miss those spreads, let me know in the chat or the comments, because that would be really useful for me to know. And I could keep it going for you guys if you really needed it. But I'm thinking for more functionality and less time spent in this planner, I may downgrade that. So let me know what you're thinking on that. Going back, so I'll just quickly flip to the rest of these pages because there's really nothing else exciting about these. The format is basically the same throughout. I kept everything pretty similar. I have started adding in the themes that will relate to the videos I'm doing that week, just so I can keep track of what I think I want to do. That's been also helpful for planning. And that's basically it. So like I said, I do that pre-planning each week, and then as I go through, I actually write in where my time went. And on the very back page, I have this goals review set up, and this is just a way to use this currently page and also to review how the previous month's goals went. I set this up in a video or two back in the past, showing you guys how I was using this page, but just some simple prompts and answers, based off of how the month went, and that's it. So I'm going to go ahead and move this into its planner. And again, those top tabs really help me a lot. Let's see. It helped me really get to the sections of my planner that I really need without having to go into all of the pages. And this one is the actual Happy Planner that I'm using this year that achieved greatness. So this is the cover and the discs and all the inserts. And that is the end really of the schedule section. Like I mentioned before, I do have one more section in the very back, which is my budget planner. And I did do a video on that if you want the full, to see all the ways I'm using it. But again, because the numbers here are private, my actual numbers I don't share. But again, I did do a video on it if you really want to know how I'm using this planner. It is an insert from the Noted Co., which if you're looking for it is in the description below. There'll be a link to it if you want to see more about this planner in particular that I used. Okay. And finally, just touching on the last sections, I have eraser pieces all over this planner from when I do my lettering each day. So I just keep finding random eraser mark shavings. Anyway, so my last two sections are my reference section. So here I have just where I keep all of my on-hand things that I want to have but don't need on a daily basis. So I have a personal section, and these are those top tabs I mentioned before that related to the dividers on the side. So same company makes top tabs, and I actually just flipped them and I'm using them on the bottom this year just to keep them separated from these top areas that I use on a daily. And this is just kind of when I need to get into it and not interfere with the side tabs. So just using all the sides here to get what I need done. And then, so like I said, I have the personal tab, which just has personal items, things that I, cleaning details, I don't know, just stuff for the home, mainly kind of things I want to remember, lists, Amazon lists, things like that. And then I have my business section, and all of these dashboards were created, DIY'd in that spring refresh. So if you want to know more about how just those came about, you can check out the refresh. The business tab is all about my Etsy business, ideas, plans, and then also my freelance business. So anything, notes for the client or whatever I'm working on there. So I have that, and yeah. Then we have my social section, which is basically my video ideas, post ideas, things, that I have in my mind for social. So I like to keep those in hand in case I need to jot something down. But again, something I don't need to reference all the time. And then finally, I have what I'm calling my education section. But basically, this is just like long-term, knowledge that I think will be useful in all aspects of my life. And that, it just varies, just notes on things that I want to reference. And then finally, I have my notes section. And this section here in the back is basically just paper, different types of paper that I like to keep on hand in case I need to add something to my planner. And I have a pocket folder, which I'm not currently using for anything but holding my 4-color pen back here, but I didn't want to put it on the cover, so I'm just using the pocket folder as a way to hold it down. I have my back cover here, and eraser marks, eraser shavings everywhere, and my laminate cover that I DIY'd. So that is it. Let's just get all these eraser shavings out of here. And yeah, like I said, that is it. Thank you guys for weighing in there on the horizontal. I appreciate you guys' feedback on that, whether or not you would like to see horizontals in the future. Yeah, it's a tough call. I do a lot here on social for you guys. I also don't want to do something I'm not going to need. So it's a balance. I like to, get out of my comfort zone, do things for you guys just to show you how to do things that maybe I wouldn't necessarily do if I was just me, myself, and I. But there is a point where you need to do what's best for you and not make it too much. So I'm glad that you guys are, willing to adapt if need be. But we'll see. I really still love decorating the horizontals too, so it might be something I'm not really willing to give up and just have that redundancy, but we'll see how it all works out in the end. Thanks again, you guys, for joining me today. If you have any further questions for me or want to know more about my planner setup or anything in particular, do feel free to drop me a comment in the video after this is done so you guys can get an idea of, or I can share my thoughts on that after the fact, because I think the chat is about to disappear. And then, if there's anything else that I can do to help you, if you have any questions about my Etsy printables and stuff, feel free to reach out to me on Etsy. Just message me and we could discuss what you're looking for. If you need something special or just need some help, I'm there for you. And that's it. So thanks again, you guys, for joining me on this Sunday. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up down below. I would really like that. Also, too, you can, again, leave me a comment and let me know what you're thinking, or just give me some feedback on how you like this video. And then if you haven't subscribed to my channel, do think about it if you're not already. And maybe even hit that notifications bell. I'm not very good at this part of it if it's not my normal, what I normally say. So you know what I'm talking about. Just all the things related to YouTube algorithm that help me out would be great. And thanks again, you guys, for joining me. I will see you next time, and bye.